Okay, so just bringing up the water to temperature for mashing in. Set it a little bit higher to make up for a bit of temperature loss when it goes into the mash tun, so any second now that should go off to 78. There we go. So that's ready to chuck into the mash tun now, and then we can start mashing in. So water's in the mash tun, and just going to run a little bit through the manifold. That's just to stop any airlocks coming through. So that's bang on with the strike temperature there, and going to chuck the grains in now and then mash in. So mashing in with a whisk here just seems to do it a bit quicker for me than using a normal paddle. Helps to break up the grain nice and easily and gives it a good stir in. Okay, so grains are all mashed in there, and as you can see, just hit about just over 67, which is where we wanted it, so pretty happy with that. Seal it up now and leave it for 10 minutes, and then I'll come back and give it a quick stir. So whisking it in again seems to increase the efficiency a little bit for me, so I usually come back and stir it a couple of times during the hour. Okay, so just taking a slightly different approach to sparging today. So I've topped up the mash to sort of hit a kind of mash out temperature of about 74 degrees. So we'll see if that makes any difference to efficiency and stuff later on, but just speed up the sparging process a little bit as well. So I'll leave that to settle for a few minutes and then start lautering it and then drain it out into the kettle. So here's the hop additions, using just these plastic cups to measure it out. Makes it nice and easy. Challenger for bittering and some Bramlin Cross for aroma and flavour hops. First wort hopping, so Challenger are going in to drain the wort on top of those. Okay, so just lautering this through now. It's drained a couple of litres through already, so that's coming through pretty clear now, as you can see. So I'll just let that drain into the kettle now, onto those Challenger hops. So that's the second lot of sparge water just gone on there. It did drain through the first lot a lot quicker with the extra water in, so that was seeming to speed things up a bit, which is good. And not too hot there, so just under 78, which is okay. So just leave that for 10 minutes and then drain that into the boiler as well, and then be ready to get the boil on. So that's 23 litres there into the boiler, or just over 23 litres, so that should be about right to get me 19 litres finished batch size once it's all done. And just waiting for it to come up to the boil. So I've got two elements in that kettle, and usually just switch one off once it comes up to a rolling boil. Feeding time for the chooks. So here we go, just coming up to the boil. I'll knock off that second element now to stop it bubbling over and destroying the floor. So I've got a nice rolling boil going now, 45 minutes on the timer till we chuck some Bramlin Cross in, and just leave it to it. It didn't boil over, so that was good. 19 litres seems to be a bit safer than the full 23 in this this size boiler. So that's the 15-minute addition of Bramlin Cross just gone in, and a Whirlfloc tablet as well. So nearly there, and you can see it's reduced down quite a bit already. Right, that's the hour boil done, so the last batch of hops going in, and I'm going to pull the plug for the element. Got the immersion chiller in there already, as you can see, so I'm going to go and switch that on now. I'm not going to bother doing any sort of 80-degree steep or anything, so I'm just chucking them straight in and then going to cool down from there. But smelling pretty good already. Bramling Cross definitely got a strong sort of berry aroma to them that's coming through off of that. Should be nice. Cooling down a bit now, just going down to about 60. You can see a bit of cold break forming there on the top. So that's cooled down now and had a little bit of time to settle, and just dropping it in to the FV off the top of the workbench. Get it nice and aerated before we pitch some yeast into there. Looks and smells pretty good so far. So here's the end product in the FV, ready to go. Just going to pitch the yeast in a minute. Hit the volume pretty much bang on for 19 litres. OG was a little bit lower than expected, so I reckon the efficiency has dropped a little bit by changing the sparging method, but nothing too bad. It's reading about 1048 at the moment, so that's still fine. So yeah, just got to pitch the yeast in and then into the brew fridge. So there's my yeast starter. I've decanted off most of the wort on there, so just a little bit left to swill the yeast around with. So yeah, in it goes. Off you go, little yeasties. So all tucked up in the brew fridge. Gonna ferment at 20 degrees. It's just a touch over that at the moment, so it's gonna cool that down a little bit. And we'll have some nice beer in a couple of weeks. Fingers crossed. So yeah, that's the end of the brew day. Cheers guys, see you later.